So Tripura and Mizoram have about 26 rolling ridges and valleys that alternate between each other as you go from east to west in the landscape. And this stunning geological landscape is part of what is known as Tripura Mizoram Fold-and-Thrust Belt. And in order to understand why these hills and ridges and valleys were created in this alternating fashion, you have to understand the creation of the eastern mountains themselves. So, as you know, Indian tectonic plate collided with the Eurasian tectonic plate about 50 million years ago and created Himalayas. However, at this point, Indian tectonic plate was still moving northeast because it hadn't settled into its current place where you see today. And the eastern part of India was not land yet, but it was a shallow sea basin where the young rivers flowing south from Himalayas was bringing all the erosions and sand and mud into this shallow sea basin. And for about 20 million years, it deposited millions and millions of tons of mud and sand in this shallow sea basin. And because of the compression and because sand is heavier than mud, on the bottom you had the sandstones created, and on the top layer you had the mudstones created. Now, as the Indian tectonic plate kept pushing eastwards towards the Burmese tectonic plate, the stones felt compression, like you would push on a carpet, and that would create this wavy pattern, right? And in geology, when this wavy pattern is created, the upward angled is called anticline and the downward angled is called syncline. So you had this alternate hills and valleys pattern. And then what happens is erosion, because northeast part of India gets a lot of rain and also it has huge rivers flowing through it. So once you have these hills and valleys, what happens is that because river and water would naturally want to flow in the valleys become even more deep and the ridges become even more pronounced. And this is like sort of like a feedback loop that happens between the ridges and the valleys and the erosion. And that's why you have this stunning landscape that you see today in Tripura and Mizoram. And I find it really cool, so I wanted to share it with you. Thank you.